Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Tech with Divas. So let's give you an intro to myself. So I have a total 9 years of experience in the telecom industry, 9+ experience actually. And the topic which I have decided to discuss today is the WOFI architecture and call flows. So just to give you an intro, that initially there was voice over LTE that was introduced after the introduction of LTE. But now these days, as people are sitting working from home and most of the time people are connected to the Wi-Fi, so we need to do something so that we can do the calls through Wi-Fi and uh, we can tap that potential from the subscribers. So I will give you a brief overview of WOFI architecture, that what all have been introduced uh, to add voice over Wi-Fi into our architecture. And the basic call flows, like we have the attach in LTE. Similarly, we have a attach here and also some handover call flows, like when the UE moves from VoLTE to WOFI or from WOFI to VoLTE, how the call flow is happening. So yeah, let's begin. So first of all, let's discuss about the agenda of our training. So first of all, we'll discuss the benefits of voice over Wi-Fi for the MNO subscribers. So why voice over Wi-Fi has been introduced and what are the benefits of introducing voice over Wi-Fi for the MNO subscribers. Then we will go through the voice over Wi-Fi architecture, in which we will discuss the nodes that have been introduced as a part of the architecture for introducing the voice over Wi-Fi. Challenges of adding Wi-Fi to LTE networks. Then obviously we will face some challenges, how to add the Wi-Fi to the LTE networks and how to route the calls using the Wi-Fi. Then we will look at the functions of the EPDG. So EPDG is a node that has been introduced for including voice over Wi-Fi in our VoLTE architecture. So we will discuss the functions of EPDG. Then we will go to the EPDG selection process. So there is a node, then we need to select that particular node, that how we are selecting that node, that process. There is a certain process that has been designed for that. We will go through the steps of of that process. Then we will look at the control plane protocols used for WOFI. So there are certain protocols that WOFI uses, as some protocols are required between the interfaces so that the interfaces can talk as per the standard protocol. So we will look at what all protocols are required for WOFI. Then finally, we will go through the WOFI call flows. So that includes the first call flow is the EPDG selection call flow. Second call flow is the UE initial attach, which is the voice over Wi-Fi attach. The third call flow is the voice over Wi-Fi call setup. Uh, then the final two call flows are the handover call flows. First one is the VoLTE to voice over Wi-Fi handover, and second one is the voice over Wi-Fi to VoLTE handover. So the first part is that what are the benefits? Why we are introducing the voice over Wi-Fi for MNO subscribers? So there must be some benefits. That's why we are introducing. So first benefit is that when the user is moving from voice over LTE to voice over Wi-Fi, it can hand over its call from VoLTE to Wi-Fi seamlessly. So there is kind of unrestricted connectivity and mobility between Wi-Fi and cellular IP networks, which enables new VoLTE services to be used anywhere, even outside the LTE coverage. Then voice over Wi-Fi is present everywhere and it's very simple and easy to use. So there is automatic network discovery feature available in the Wi-Fi, and there is Wi-Fi authentication already available. Then we can say that it is secure. So there is some protocol, which is the IPsec protocol, through which we are ensuring the security. So strong network security is there from trusted operator that protects data from unlawful intercept and hacking. Then we have the savings part. So as you know that voice over Wi-Fi and home Wi-Fi is much cheaper than the LTE network. So we can save a lot of money using this particular feature like voice over Wi-Fi, voice and video calling everywhere with service bundles that can lower rates and reduce roaming fees. So as a part of the operator can also introduce some kind of charging for voice over Wi-Fi, but that will be much lower as compared to the voice over LTE. Benefits of Wi-Fi for MNOs. So that was the benefit from the user perspective in the previous slide. Now we can say that what are the now we will discuss that what are the benefits from the MNO perspective. So MNO stands for mobile network operators, like we can say that Airtel, Jio, Vodafone, Idea, these kind of network operators. So what are the benefits of voice over Wi-Fi for the mobile network operators? So first benefit is the increased coverage and capacity. That means that mobile network operators can cover the home network also. So we can make calls through the Wi-Fi. So or we can transition the calls to the Wi-Fi when there is a handover or the subscriber is moving from the cellular network to the Wi-Fi network. So we can say that our coverage and capacity has been increased from the MNO perspective, that MNOs coverage has been increased. MNOs and MVNOs. MVNOs stands for mobile virtual network operators. So these days, as we know that everything is going virtual. So the network operators which are providing the network using virtual cloud are called as mobile virtual network operators. And MVNOs can address LTE coverage gaps with Wi-Fi hotspots. So there could be LTE coverage gaps which can be addressed using Wi-Fi hotspots. So from the network perspective, there might be a area where some LTE coverage is missing. We can add some Wi-Fi hotspots in that area, and using those hotspots, we can switch to those hotspots and increase our network coverage. This is a kind of a open Wi-Fi that we are using, or we can also use a closed Wi-Fi that some other network operators, or we can say the partners, uh, that we can have some agreements. The two mobile network operators can have certain agreements. So using closed Wi-Fi means that the Wi-Fi of the partners optimize network access. So roaming and bandwidth intensive video traffic costs can be reduced. So as we know that Wi-Fi is having much more larger bandwidth as compared to the uh, our cellular network. So this way we can use bandwidth intensive video traffic applications in our Wi-Fi, and also the calling. So cost can be reduced by offloading from cellular network to Wi-Fi. Ability to extend services easily to Wi-Fi. So subscriber wireless access can be managed holistically across multiple services. So that means that all the services can be provided using the Wi-Fi, including our voice service. Now let's look at what all new network nodes has been introduced to accommodate voice over Wi-Fi in our architecture. So this is the architecture which is used for traditional voice over LTE networks. So if we have to include voice over Wi-Fi in this architecture, then we have to include one network element, which is our voice over Wi-Fi. That means our router or modem, which is present in our home. So the network nodes which have been introduced are, first of all, first one is the TWAG, which is used for the trusted Wi-Fi. So trusted means that Wi-Fi of our um, own service provider, or the service provider which is providing the LTE is providing the Wi-Fi, then the Wi-Fi can be a trusted Wi-Fi, and that can be accessed using this trusted Wi-Fi can access the PDN gateway using the TWAG. Then the second node which is there is the EPDG, which is for untrusted Wi-Fi. So untrusted Wi-Fi, which is mostly the case. So mostly we don't know that which Wi-Fi the subscriber is using. So generally we use the EPDG node, and in current deployments that are going on in the network operators, which the network operators are doing, they are implementing the EPDG node rather than the TWAC, because most of the times we don't know whether the Wi-Fi is trusted or not. So we implement it through the EPDG. So we have introduced a node called the EPDG. And as far as the interfaces are concerned, so the new interface comes up. First one is the SWU interface uh, between our UE, or you can say that our Wi-Fi modem, to the EPDG, and S2B interface, which is between our EPDG and the PDN gateway. Uh, So these are the two main nodes that have been introduced. In addition to this, we have one more node which have been introduced for the authentication, authorization, and accounting, which is the AAA server. So that AAA server needs to be connected to the EPDG using the SWM interface. Then one more interface that has been introduced is the S6B interface between the PDN gateway and the AAA server. So each of these interfaces having certain functions. For example, the SWM interface is used for authenticating the subscriber through the EPDG. Similarly, uh, the PDN gateway, if needs to authorize and authenticate the subscriber, then it uses the S6B interface. Then, if the AAA needs to talk to the HSS for fetching the subscriber profile data, then it needs the interface which we call as the SWX interface. So these are the all the new interfaces that have new nodes and interfaces that has been introduced as a part of voice over Wi-Fi architecture. So now that we have introduced certain nodes, then we need to look at that what are the challenges of adding Wi-Fi to the LTE network. So first of all, what needs to be done? So first of all, we need to ensure that service is continuous, that the service doesn't breaks when the subscriber moves from the Wi-Fi to the LTE network. So there is a service continuity. That means the mobile device IP address must be preserved when moving between LTE and Wi-Fi. So basically what it means is that when the subscriber is moving between the LTE and Wi-Fi network, then it should have the same IP, and no uh, the allocation of IP address must be required. So this is the first challenge that we need to ensure for seamless handovers of calls and other network services such as enterprise VPNs. So enterprise VPNs are services for particular enterprises. We have certain VPNs. So those are the services for particular enterprise. Then we need to have service consistency and security. So as I told you that most of the Wi-Fi networks are unsecured and untrusted. So we don't know from where the subscriber is accessing the Wi-Fi. So for that particular purpose, we require some security. So in between, we have a node for that which is handling all our security. EPDG and AAA are the nodes which are handling all these things so that we can ensure the subscribers are not susceptible to hacking, and secure tunneling protocols and subscriber authentication methods are required. So the first node that has been introduced in the Wi-Fi network is the EPDG. EPDG stands for Evolved Packet Data Gateway, and the main high-level functionalities of EPDG are user authentication and authorization. User authentication and authorization is required because the user is trying to access from the untrusted Wi-Fi networks, and hence we need authentication and authorization to happen before we can allow the UE to access our internet or any WOFI services. So this is the main high-level functionality. Then the second high-level functionality is the tunnel and QoS mapping between S2P bearers and access network. So, bearer mapping is one functionality that is required to implement the QoS. So, bearer is a kind of a logical entity that implements the QoS, and we have to transfer this QoS mapping from S2B bearers towards the access network. So, this is the second high-level functionality. I will go in detail of these functionality after just giving you an overview that what all functionalities are there. So the third high-level functionality is the routing of downlink packets towards the SWU instance associated to the PDN connections. So that means that SWU is an interface that has been introduced in the voice over Wi-Fi, which is between the uh, Wi-Fi router and the EPDG. So what it does, the EPDG is doing, EPDG is routing the downlink packets towards the SWU instance, so associated to the PDN connection. So downlink packets are coming from the EPDG. So the EPD needs to route these downlink packets towards the SWU interface, which is connected to the Wi-Fi router. So this particular functionality the EPDG also required to do. Now, if going through the detail that what exactly the EPDG is doing inside the user authentication and authorization. So first thing that EPDG is doing is there is a protocol which is used for this purpose, which is the IKEv2, which is Internet Key Exchange Protocol. Version 2 we are using here. It has two versions have been introduced. So using this protocol, we are performing an authentication method, which we call as the APA method, which is a very common method used for in authentication for VoLTE services also, and here also in WoFE services we are using this authentication method. Then the second thing that we are doing as a part of authentication and authorization is the encapsulation of packets. So this is using the IPsec protocol. So in that we encapsulate our IP packets inside a security IP layer. So using this, we can do a decapsulation and encapsulation. So this is the functionality of this is the functionality under the authentication and authorization. Third one is the tunnel authentication and authorization. So tunnel authentication means that there is a tunnel that needs to be established between the EPDG and the P gateway. We call it as the GTPC tunnel. So this tunnel needs to be authenticated and authorized. So that also is done at the EPDG end. Then provide P gateway identity if static address. So if we have statically configured the P gateway address in the EPDG, then the EPDG also provides the P gateway identity. Then local mobility anchors, which means the anchor for the mobility between the Wi-Fi networks. Then P gateway address from AAA in inter-system handovers. So if in case of inter-system handovers, P gateway acts as the anchor points and AAA is used for the authentication, authorization, and accounting functionality. Then the second high-level functionality is the tunnel and QoS mapping between S2B bearers and access networks. So this type of functionality uh, can be classified as mapping of S2 bearers to SWU IPsec sessions. So S2B bearer is basically a bearer which is established using the GTPC protocol, and the user plane traffic is coming using the GTPU protocol. So traffic coming from the S2B towards the SWU IPsec sessions. So between the UE and the, or we can say between the Wi-Fi router and the EPDG, the interface is the SWU, and the protocol which we are using is the IPsec protocol. So we have to map the S2B bearer to the IPsec sessions, basically mapping of dedicated bearers on S2B using TFT packet filters. So there is certain thing which is called the traffic flow template. So dedicated bearer require a traffic flow template. So traffic flow templates basically decides that which particular traffic we need to send to which particular flow. So this is the traffic flow template, and this mapping is required for the dedicated bearers, and this mapping is also done by the EPDG. Then the last point for this particular functionality is the DSCP marking or 802.1 tagging. So DSCP marking is a IP protocol functionality which is basically done to mark a particular traffic for the to for setting the QoS, that what QoS is required to be set at the IP level. We mark it using the DSCP marking. So this is a field inside the IP protocol, or we can also use the 802.1p tagging, which is for the Wi-Fi network. Then the third high level functionality was routing of downlink packet towards the SWU instance associated to the PDN connections. So in this, we have to do the transport level packet marking in the uplink. So the routing needs to be done both ways, the uplink and the downlink. So first, for uplink, we need to do the transport level packet marking in the uplink, and in the downlink, we enforce the QoS policies based on the information received over the S2B control plane. So this is a kind of mapping that is, so there is a kind of bearer setup using the control plane protocol, and then that particular bearer is having certain QoS policies. So these QoS policies are enforced on the basis of these information received over the S2B control plane. So I think this is all for now. So next part of the training we will discuss in the next session. So thanks a lot for attending this session, and hope it helps. Thank you very much.